U.S. public water supply is a local source of phosphorus pollution. A fine study taking a look at PFAS.org. So what do they find? In the United States, public water systems are sometimes dosed with phosphate to reduce copper levels and lead pipe corrosion. This practice can help avert humanitarian disasters like the Flint water crisis because phosphorus can contribute to eutrophication. It could harm local aquatic ecosystems. So while it can help, it can also hurt potentially. For example, phosphorus that enters the environment when pipes leak or people water their lawns may find its way into rivers, lakes, and groundwater. Exactly how much phosphorus enters the environment from the public water supply, though, is unknown, making it difficult to address that source of pollution. Now, Flint and colleagues estimate for the first time how much phosphorus enters the environment for the U.S. public water supply. And how do they do that? They use data from 2015, and the team analyzed phosphate during concentrations, data from public water system facilities, the volume of water supplied by these facilities, and the estimates of how much water is lost because of leakage and outdoor water usage. What did they find? They found that 3% of public water systems in the United States in 2015 dosed their water with phosphate. So there's quite a lot of phosphate actually being used. Even though that 3% it doesn't seem like a lot, that's a lot of water systems considering that there are hundreds or thousands of water systems across 50 states. And because larger systems were more likely to use phosphate, about a quarter of the U.S. population received dosed water. So that's a big percentage. You might think that that's not a lot, but there's a lot of people who are being affected by that. And the practice was most common in the Midwest and the East, where many counties retain legacy lead piping. Now, about 5 to 17% of dosed water leaked out of the water mains, 5 to 21% was used outdoors, and even the lower end of these estimates in some counties, the phosphorus that entered the environment from the water supply could exceed phosphorus coming from point sources like wastewater treatment plants or diffuse sources such as agricultural fertilizer use. The public water supply typically isn't including phosphorus since apportionment studies, and the authors hope to find new findings and policymakers develop more effective phosphorus management strategies. So there's good and bad to this. Take into account that some systems are dosed with phosphate. They want to reduce copper levels, lead pipe. We've done a lot of videos on heavy metals, and we know that those can be quite harmful. So the phosphorus does help that. But on the other hand, it can lead to issues like eutrophication, where it creates HBAs, harmful algae blooms, and then that also hurts fish and wildlife. So it's not all good. It is a double-edged sword, but this is an interesting study, even finding that 3% use that, but it can actually affect a quarter of Americans. So there's a lot happening here. That's why it's always a good idea to periodically test your water for high levels of phosphorus and see what's going on.